This is my second inflectional suffixes video. The first one talked about the top two listed there, which are added to nouns. And now we're going to talk about 4 verb suffixes. So the first one is the third person singular suffix s. So it's talking about things that are usual and true and that are done by not me, not you, and not us or them, plural, but a singular person that's not me or you. So he or she or it. So for example, she rests. It jumps. And just like with the plural suffix s, when we add it to the end of a word that ends with a voiced sound, like bend, he bends. We say it as a z, he bends, not he bends. It fans. When we add it to the end of a word that already ends with a s or a z or a sh or a ch, then we change it to be is the same as this one, changed to be is. The horses, we say she relaxes. We don't say relax. Yeah, you wouldn't hear it. It washes. It screeches. So you could say the screeches of the cockatoo, that's a noun, or you could say it screeches, and then you're using it as a verb. Now, because s is a consonant, so it's a consonant suffix, we don't have to double. When we say it digs or it hides, we don't have to double the final consonant here. We just put s. And we don't have to drop the final e there. That's a consonant. It doesn't knock off e. It's only vowel suffixes that knock off e. However, when we get to this one, so it flies, we don't do that. What we do is flip that into an I. We do that regardless of whether it's a consonant or a vowel suffix, and we use the es variant of that suffix. It's important to note that when you have a spelling like ay or oy or ey at the end of a word, that's representing one sound, 2 letters, 1 sound. And so words like it lays eggs, and so does it, just have s. We don't flip the y. Or it enjoys manna gum leaves. It surveys the world from the top of its tree. The second inflectional suffix I want to talk about is ed. This is for regular simple past. So it's talking about a finished action. We have a lot of weird old English verbs in modern English that change the verb into past tense by changing the vowel in it. So for example, swim, swam, yeah, ring, rang, sing, sang. Ride, rode, or drive, drove. Sleep, slept, and creep, crept, weep, wept, and so on. So we're not talking about irregular verbs. We're talking about regular ones that you add ed to. So when a word ends with a t or a d, like plant or land, we say planted, landed as a syllable, as you'd expect from the spelling. However, when a word ends with a voiced consonant, apart from d, we say fill, filled. We just say a d for the ed. We don't actually say that vowel. And fan, fanned. We just say d. And when a word ends with a voiceless sound, apart from t, we say this suffix as a t. So cooked. I cooked the dinner, or jumped. The kangaroo jumped. So it's the same logic that we had with these ones, where you have a different way of pronouncing them depending on the sound at the end of the base word. Now, ed is a vowel suffix. It starts with a vowel. So when we say we canned the vegetables, or I liked your cake, or I fried an egg, we have to, when we add that, double this to make it, to keep this as an a. Because if we don't double it, it could be an A. See that letter A could represent an A, or it could represent an A. Doubles only go after A, E, or R, actually, the short vowels. And so you have to have a double N to keep that as A in canned. And then this one, if it's got an E at the end, this vowel, E, comes along and goes, and knocks it off to make the past tense. And this one, if I add ed there, I have to flip the Y into an I to make it into fried. The next suffix is ing. This creates present participle words, so can-ing, and like the ed, this starts with a vowel. So when we put it on the end of a word like can, we have to double the n to keep that as an a. With liking, it starts with a vowel, so we knock off the e to make it into liking. This one, if I flip the y into I there, we have two i's together. We don't do that in English. So we keep a y. If it's a suffix that starts with an I, we don't change y into I. So frying. We often use this as the background for another action. So we might say, I was eating the cake when I choked. So the choked would be in past tense, and the ing would be showing that that's a background ongoing action. And the other interesting thing about this ing is that you can make it into a noun. So you can say, and so it would go with this group. So up here. So you can say jumping. Jumping is fun. And you can say canning things in a factory, maybe not so much fun. When we use this to make a noun, it's called a gerund. Now, as well as having a present participle in English, we also have a past participle, and normally that is just an ed at the end of a word, and it's used to make perfect tenses which relate to times. So, for example, if you say, I have done my homework, that's different from I did my homework. I have done it, that means that I'm talking about in the present, but also something relevant in the past. Or you could talk about regrets. If I had known about that thing, then I wouldn't have done something or other. Or you can talk about the future. You will have arrived at the airport by the time I get there. So that's what perfect tenses are useful for, comparing two times and relating two times. And so most of the time, ed is the ending that we put on a verb to make it into a past participle, which is the bit of verb that we use at the end of perfect tenses. So I have tried to do that before. We just put an ed, for example. But if you have words like take, we don't say I have taked something. I have taked the last cake. No, we say I have taken. So this suffix is a sort of old one in the language that still goes on quite a lot of verbs. So I have given you this, or I have known. Now this one, known, we use this version. I have known you for a while. So that's an allomorph, so a version of a morpheme. I have known you for a while. I have drawn a lovely picture for you. The plane has blown off course. Yeah, the plant has grown. This is growing. You have grow, and then you put the suffix on as distinct from groaning and moaning. And there's heaps of words like that. Sometimes there's a vowel change. So, for example, she has ridden. So ride has an I, and then ridden has an I. And we put the suffix at the end of it. So perfect tenses. And the interesting thing about these suffixes is they can also be used as adjectives, which we're going to talk about in the next video.